Hey Dad, with today's daily crypto news.
Well, I want to have a quick discussion about why are we even moving to blockchain? Why do we even have to mess around with it? Well, unless you've been living under a rock during my generation, especially, I'm a Gen Xer. Man, the one thing you saw in every election cycle is we're going to bring down the debt. The deficit's too high. There's so much pork barrel spending. That was an old term, a buzzword they would use when elections would come around to try to put down whoever they were running against, right? Whatever politician you may want to choose. Pork barrel spending, and we need to become leaner and meaner and all this kind of stuff. Yet that never happened, no matter what party was in control. They spent like drunken sailors, worse even, and then they abused the privilege of the world reserve currency here in the United States. And so blockchain is built to create a new system that possibly could be a lot fairer, but it's going to have to be something other nations are going to buy into, because they've had it with the abuse of those of the world reserve currency, in particular the sanctions part. That's really just not going to work anymore going forward. But we also want to solve a lot of the problems in currency, like friction, like it's very expensive to move money around the world. It is very slow. It is very unreliable. It's also difficult to know when the money gets where it's supposed to go. It takes a long time. It's not quick and easy. And there is, I think, a 6% loss in SWIFT transactions. So you have a 6% chance of, if you have a multi-billion-dollar transaction, some of it might get lost or all of it might get lost. That's kind of what happens. I doubt a billion-dollar transaction would fall victim to that. But large transactions have fallen victim to that. So there's about a 6% loss rate. So I want to point you to this video that kind of explains how we got where we are now, and the reasoning behind why we need to move into, or one of the reasons why we need to move into this new system. So I'll have my daughter read this.
This from Digital Asset Investor. Crypto was created to replace the petrodollar system and to preserve the US dollar as a world reserve currency. Digital currency wars happened for a reason.
True. So let's take a look. This is Jim Rickards. If you don't know who Jim Rickards is, he basically, he's an advisor to the government on macroeconomics and repercussions of certain moves they might be considering. Very smart guy. Look him up. Jim Rickards, Rickards, I believe is how it's spelled. And I think you'll be fairly impressed with his resume. Nice guy. And here are a few words from good old Jim. Take a look.
We did not lose our reserve currency status because of the petrodollar accord in 1974. And I had a role in that. It was my first meeting on official business in the White House. I met with Helmut Sonnenfeld, who was the deputy national security advisor. He was known as Kissinger's Kissinger. Kissinger was the national security advisor. Helmut was the deputy. But everyone thought Helmut was smarter than Henry. So he was sort of the big brain. We were working on the invasion of Saudi Arabia. It was Jerry Parsky and Bill Simon, who was Secretary of the Treasury.
Jerry Parsky's been on this show.
Oh, well, he's great.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He's probably episode 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good cop, bad cop routine. So Parsky and Simon were the good cops. They went to Saudi Arabia and said, if you price oil in dollars, everybody in the world's going to need dollars because they need oil. But you can take the dollars and put them at Citibank. Then that Citibank will lend to South America, they'll buy our stuff, and the whole system will keep going. And it worked. But that was the carrot. The stick was invading Saudi Arabia, setting up a security perimeter around the oil fields, setting the price, pumping the oil, putting in trust for the future Arab people, basically taking over Saudi Arabia's oil fields. So that was the team I was working on. And we linked it to the Chicago Tribune. And anyway, that's the whole story. But it worked. Basically, Parsky did that deal along with Bill Simon. But my point is, Nixon devalues the dollar 95% measured in gold, and also against the other currencies. That was the Smithsonian Accord, the Smithsonian Agreement they call it. But we got about a 20% devaluation against the yen, but everything went down against gold. But we preserved our reserve currency status by the petrodollar deal. Okay, so Nixon pulled it off, and Ford followed up.